My name is Krista Wynn, and this is my final capstone video for EDU 526. The decision to obtain my master's degree has been a journey. Originally, I was a registered nurse. I worked in the field of home health. I had many duties, but my favorite was inpatient education. In 2002, I had the opportunity to stay home with my children. This allowed me many opportunities to pursue volunteer activities. I volunteered at my child's school. I often ran the book fair and was involved in PTA. And I was a class mom for a few years. Plus, I had the opportunity to volunteer at my church. I was a leader in our midweek children's programs. In 2004, I decided to go back to school to get my bachelor's degree in human development. I chose Azusa Pacific for its strong Christian values. I made lots of friends with my cohort in HD 77. I decided to continue my education and received my multiple subject credential in 2007. I spent the next 5 years as a temporary teacher, mostly teaching kindergarten. In 2012, I was hired in a permanent position as the lead teacher for Murrieta Mesa High School's medical pathway. I finally found my niche. Last spring, I decided to complete my master's degree in education in digital teaching and learning. In EDUC 511, Essentials in Digital Teaching and Learning, I created a PowerPoint presentation on my educational philosophy. I also learned how to create an online portfolio using LiveBinder, showcasing all the projects I completed in this program. In EDUC 512, Instructional Applications of Productivity Software, I went on a field trip to the Apple Store. There we learned how to use the different functions of the iPad. I explored many apps I could use in my classroom and how to use Doceri to project images and apps from my iPad to the projector in my classroom. I also learned how to create an Excel document. I really enjoyed the culinary project, which was creating a web quest on heart valves. In EDUC 514, Digital Video in the Classroom, I learned fundamental compositional techniques that make video look professional. I created a video slideshow using Animoto. And most importantly, I learned how to use iMovie. One video I created was The Great Shakeout, which was showcased on our daily announcements. The following is a clip from that video. For my culminating project in that class, I created an instructional video on blood pressure that I use in my classroom. In EDUC 515, Involving Educational Technologies, I learned how to use gamification to create learning in the classroom. I also created a presentation on flipped classrooms. And most importantly, I created a classroom blog using Weebly where I can showcase many of the things that are occurring in my class. In EDUC 522, I learned about Gardner's multiple intelligences, Bloom's taxonomy, and Webb's depth of knowledge, and how to create lessons that incorporate all three. One fascinating component I learned was how different iPad apps and websites address different levels of Bloom's taxonomy and Gardner's multiple intelligences. The culminating project for this class was creating a 4-week unit plan on the cardiovascular system, where I also created a detailed lesson plan on cardiac valve disorders. In EDUC 526, the Capstone Experience in Digital Teaching and Learning, I completed my e-portfolio using LiveBinder. I also completed my curricular vitae highlighting my education, job experience, and special skills and accomplishments. And finally, I did an action research project. My project focused on my Health Careers 1 classes. My focus question was, can I improve test scores by adding a digital component while teaching EKG interpretation? In Health Careers 1, my students learn about health careers, anatomy and physiology, and medical terminology. They absolutely love the hands-on skills they learn in the cardiovascular unit and throughout the year. The challenges I have with this class is the ages range from 9th grade all the way up to 12th grade. I also have students that are underachievers and unmotivated to learn, and students that have 4.0 GPAs and are AP students. And as with any class, the learning styles of my students are diverse. During the cardiovascular system, which was the focus of my unit plan, my students get to learn basic interpretation of EKGs. They learn what the different waveforms mean, how to calculate rates of an EKG, and also learn 10 basic rhythms. In previous years, I've always presented the information via a PowerPoint presentation, and I have given the students handouts on the different rhythms. The average test scores have been less than stellar, which has left my students very frustrated and also leads to a very frustrated teacher. I knew something was missing, but I couldn't quite figure it out. So after much thought and taking EDU 522, I figured out what the missing piece was. I simply was not addressing all the multiple intelligences in my classroom. So after acquiring a class set of Chromebooks, I decided to add a digital component to teaching EKG interpretation. I found a couple of websites that teach EKG interpretation. These websites include EKG tutors and arrhythmia reference guides. Students simply click on the rhythm name and they can learn all they need to know about that rhythm, plus see different practice strips. Another website I use, SkillStat, had an excellent feature that allowed students to be quizzed on the different rhythms. They could press prep to see tutorials on the different rhythms or play to actually be quizzed on them. The quiz feature keeps track of how many of the students get correct, and if they miss something, it explains what they missed. After they had the opportunity to practice this on the Chromebooks, they took the test. Depending on the period, the class average went up between 7 and 15% compared to last year. I consider my action research project to be a complete success, and I think that my students do agree. Deciding to complete my master's degree in digital teaching and learning has been a career-changing experience. I am now better prepared to teach my students, and my students are better prepared for the 21st century workforce. I'm glad I chose APU to complete my master's degree, and choosing the digital teaching and learning program has given me the tools to be a more effective teacher in the future.